Welcome everyone, this is Viking, and today we're going to do a real quick Tomcat video. Very quick. Just to get things rolling right away, we're going to go ground crew electric power on.
Chief, turn on the ground power.
Turn on some lights.
Copy.
And you're going to need to enable, or bind something to exterior master light switch. And you're also going to need the wing sweep buttons.
Ground power is now on.
Okay, fantastic. So turn on the exterior lights and turn on the cockpit illumination and turn on ground air supply.
Chief, connect ground air supply.
And stabilization channels.
Copy.
And
Ground air supply is now connected.
displays. And hide this stick because that's a personal preference of mine. Turn on the oxygen. Contact Jester for startup.
Okay.
Hurry.
ICS comm check. Can you hear me?
I can.
Roger.
And we're going to arm the ejection seat. Going to leave that switch on the TID. Turn on the radar altimeter.
I'm closing the canopy.
Thank you. And we're going to click on the artificial horizon and calibrate it.
Okay, ready to start.
Right click to get bleed air onto the right engine. We're going to ask Jester to tune into the Stennis traffic. And we're going to turn on our own radio. And we see that this little bar has come up to the R, so we can put the right throttle to ground idle. And we're going to watch this little switch, because when it snaps back to center, we're going to left click it to put the bleed air over into the right engine. Okay. And we're going to watch the little bar again. When it comes up to the L, that's when we put the left throttle to ground idle. Lovely. We're going to put the wing sweep handle all the way forward, right click it to put it down, and close the cover, and very important, hit the master reset switch there. Got to hit that. And I'm going to put the wing sweep into auto to test the wings. Wings are sweeping out full forward to 20 degrees. And the little bar reflects that, and now I'm going to put them all the way back to fully swept. And the bar shows them retracting, and they're sweeping, and they are swept all the way back to 60 degrees. And now that the engines have started, we're going to kill the ground electric power.
Chief, turn off the ground power.
And the ground air supply.
Chief, disconnect ground air supply.
And you're going to be able to hear the ground air supply go away. And that's it. And so now we're going to ask Jester to perform a fine alignment.
Roger.
As we see this little caret moving across the screen there, that's the alignment procedure, or progress I mean. And ASH is aircraft stored heading. That means our alignment is going to go quickly. If you don't have the heading stored, then it's going to take almost 10 minutes to align the jet. And like I say, I'm a little short on time. Right click and hold this button to get rid of that red standby flag. Okay, we've done this. We got to dial up the gun rounds. It can hold 676 rounds maximum, so I set it to 670. And we're going to turn on the ICLS, the carrier landing system. We're not going to need that right away, obviously, but when we do need it, it's good to have. These are the floodlights, white floodlight, red floodlight. Don't need either one of those because it's daytime. We're going to ask the ground crew to arm the jet, and that beeping is just the radar altimeter letting us know that we're very low, and we are low. Now, a lot of times people put sparrows on this hard point. I don't really like sparrows, but I sure like having extra sidewinders, so that's what we're going to do. For the Phoenixes, you either want the A Mark 60s or the Charlie Mark 47s. I'm going to go for the A Mark 60s because they have a longer range. but the Charlies have a better seeker head, and they are also completely smokeless, so they're very difficult to see in PvP.
Request refueling. Request rearming.
Okay, and we're going to hit the nose wheel steering button. And do not disable the brake during alignment, because Jester will stop aligning the jet if you disable the parking brake. Okay, the jet is aligned, but Jester hasn't given us the okay yet, so we're not going to move. We are, however, going to put the flaps lever in the down position. That doesn't actually do anything while the wings are swept, but it means that it's one less thing to think about when we're taking off. I'm also going to turn on some target drones here. And now that the jet is armed, we're also going to put the gun rate up to high.
We're ready to taxi.
And we're going to cool the Sidewinders and the Phoenixes, because we don't want to have to wait. Like I say, I'm in a bit of a hurry here. Jester says we're ready to taxi. Release the parking brake. Nose wheel steering's already engaged. Well, let's rock and roll. Okay, I guess. Okay, all right, there we go. I wasn't giving it quite enough throttle. You need to give it a fair bit.
Hold position.
Stennis is going to yell at me a little bit, I guess.
Hold position.
Okay.
Hold position.
Okay.
We're going to channel 2 so that the Stennis will shut up and we can't hear it. I assume that's a recent bug. The patch came up just the other day, and now Stennis won't shut up when you're trying to taxi. So I'm going to get hooked up on the cat, and then I'm going to turn the channel back to Stennis traffic. We're away from any obstacles as soon as we clear this happy little fellow. So as I make this turn, I'm going to hit the wing sweep thing, and the wings will start sweeping out. Going to line up on catapult 4 on the waist cat. And that looks reasonably well lined up. Not perfect, but good enough for this demo. For this catapult, you basically want this platform to be not quite exactly to the left of you. We're going to let it go a little bit behind us, hit the brakes, and now you got to click and hold this button to kneel the jet. That disables nose wheel steering and lowers the launch bar. Then you press U as in uniform, and we're on the cat, so we're going to tell Jester that we're ready to listen to the radio again.
Wilco.
And
You are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QFE 29.93.
go to full military power, confirm that the wings are out, confirm that the flaps are down here, and then you hit left shift uniform, left shift U, in order to salute. Look at the mirror. There's the salute, and away we go. Don't touch the stick while you're shooting, but once you're in the air,
We've got a Bandit 3-ship Bra 050 41 miles.
landing gear up, and we're doing like 150 knots, which is a little bit slow. So I'm gonna trim her down a little bit, get the nose down, and now we're going fast enough that we can raise the flaps. And like I say, I'm in a hurry, so I'm gonna punch the burner right now. And I'm going to put her into air-to-air mode. I'm going to turn off the exterior lights and enable master arm. I'm going to use the weapon selector to go up to Phoenixes. And we can see the bandits there on the left side. The reason we can see them when they're outside of that big V, which is our radar cone, the reason we can see them when they're outside of that is because we're hooked into the Stennis by data link. And if we weren't, here's how we do it. Jester, data link, set host, John C. Stennis.
Yep.
Alright, we're up to Mach 0.9 already, so we're just going to go full mil. And we're going to get those bandits in front of us. We can see by the track that they're moving left and towards us. So kind of flanking, kind of hot. And they're at like 8 or 10,000 feet, so I'm going to gain some altitude here. In the meantime, Jester should pop this into track while scan mode and start locking up targets for us. Not actually locking up, but hooking, so that they don't know they're being targeted. And he's not doing it, so I'm gonna ask him politely. Okay, now he's doing it. He's got one selected. And he should do a second one, but he's not gonna, so that's okay. Phoenix out. The target is not receiving a radar.
Okay, let's do this.
Yes, Jester, I'm way ahead of you. Now, after I fire the Phoenix, I'm just going to turn on autopilot here. There's a countdown timer, 60 seconds. He's hooked up a second one, so I'm going to go Phoenix out. It takes 3 seconds for the Phoenix to drop off. And then it'll go out in front of us and loft upwards. Now, we got to keep these guys in front of us for the duration. Ooh, he's locked up another one. Phoenix out. Fox 3. I've disabled autopilot, and I'm basically maneuvering to keep those guys in our radar cone, because our radar is giving steering cues to all three, pardon me, of those Phoenix missiles. It can guide up to 6 at once, so very useful. Quick autopilot note: I've turned on the roll autopilot, and now if I turn on the altitude hold autopilot, it doesn't do anything yet. It just says AP ref here. You got to hit nose wheel steering, and then it starts to hold your altitude. And I see here that basically, okay, one of them has hit. Another one has hit. Let's turn on our autopilots and see if we can, oh no, just, okay. Shit. This guy has failed to track, or has he? No, he was just on a different guy. And I think we splashed 3 of them. Yep, there's only one living. So we're going to try and find the remaining guy. I think I saw him here. Maybe not. We got something on the radar. I'm going to put this into...
Target, 8 miles.
Into auto acquisition. Okay, target 8 miles. So now we're going to put the Phoenix into bore sight mode.
That's a fish bed.
And we're going to turn on the television camera system so we can see it. Phoenix is in bore sight mode, so it'll lock whatever is ahead of it when it fires. And Phoenix out. This time, when it's in bore sight mode, it doesn't take 3 seconds to come loose. It takes 1 second. And this might hit or it might not. Bore sight is not the best way to fire a Phoenix.
5 miles.
So we're going to put her into Sidewinder mode. It looks like the Phoenix is tracking.
Flash.
Boom. Okay, so we didn't need any Sidewinders, but then again, we all know how Sidewinders work, don't we? Another thing about the Tomcat that I kind of thought I would get into, but didn't, because all 4 of them went down so easily, is how accurate the gun is. In the Hornet, there's, like, it really scatters.
Lock, I'm looking.
Yeah, just shut up, dude. But watch how tight the gunfire is on this thing. It's a lot smaller spread than the Hornet. So so when you're fighting up close and personal, it's a lot easier to actually score a bunch of hits on a target that's not very far in front of you. Okay, so we're done with fighting. So exterior lights on, master arm off. We do not need to cool the Phoenixes because there aren't any, and we're going to shut off the cooling on the Sidewinders because we're not planning to use them. We're just going back to the Stennis. We're going to put this thing into TACAN mode. The V is your waypoint, and the triangle, which isn't here, is your TACAN. Turn on TACAN. Roll hold. And then I turn on altitude hold, and I need to hit the nose wheel steering to make AP ref go away and make it actually do the... Seriously, man, do we not have a TACAN signal right now? Wait, I'm not in cruise mode, am I? No, I am in cruise mode. so we should have something. 74, that's the Stennis. Transmit, receive. Oh, there it is, there it is. It's hard to see because of the glare, but there's a triangle right there. We've already set the data host up to be the Stennis, but we're just gonna do it again to make sure.
Roger.
We're gonna confirm that our ICLS is on channel 11, and it is not, so that's 9, 10, 11, I think. Is that 11? And that knob is hard to read sometimes. I think that's 11. Right. You know what we can do? I'm pretty sure that's 11. The knob is hard to read. Okay. So it says here 28 miles. When you put your master mode, master navigation mode, what is it? When you put your steer command in TACCAN, you get a range of 28 there. But even if I were to put this in distance to waypoint, which is 33, you'd still have the 28 up here. This one is always your TACCAN distance. It will never tell you your waypoint distance. The Stennis is basically pointed east. What's my altitude? 12,000. That's high. So, like I say, we're short on time. Got about 13 minutes left. Want to get back on the boat before we run out of time, and it always takes longer to land than you'd think it would. So, diving, cutting the throttle because we don't really need to speed up at this point. I'm going to get her down to about 4,000 feet, passing 5, and 4,200 is good enough. Autopilot. And what do we got here? We got 27 miles. I'm going to put this one back over to TACCAN. As we get into the approach, I'm going to switch it to AWL because that will help us see the navigation cues for getting down onto the deck. For fun, like we don't really have the... We've got way too much fuel here. 12,000 pounds is a lot of fuel, but if you punch the burners while you're down at 4,000 feet, you can get rid of that fuel a lot quicker than you might even want to. I mean, look at that puppy count down. And you also get to experience the joys of supersonic flight in the Tomcat. Now in the transonic range, we're at exactly Mach 1 right now. Your autopilots don't work real well, neither do a lot of your instruments. So the best thing to do is disable the autopilots as I have until you're out of the transonic range. Also, you can't trust your barometric altimeter. Your radar altimeter is probably still going to be pretty decent, but you can't trust your vertical velocity indicator, and you can't trust your barometric altimeter because in the transonic range your pitot gets all fucked up because it can't read pressure properly. And what's our range? Range is 32. Getting further away. Time to turn around gently. We gently turn around because we're pulling 4Gs right now, and it's very easy when you're supersonic to accidentally rip your own wings off. So I'm going to kill the throttle and let things cool down a little bit. We're not exactly lined up on the heading we need, but we're pretty close. Going to go back up to full mill and disable the master caution because we're down at Mach 0.9, so we can trust the autopilot, although sometimes this shaky thing happens. I'm pretty sure this is a bug. I'm pretty sure that doesn't actually happen to real Tomcats. But if you're going real fast and you encounter this shaky thing, just disable the autopilot, slow down a bit, and then you should be able to re-enable it again if you want to. We are 26 miles out. The Stennis is, if I recall, pointed roughly east, so if I want to, I can set the TACCAN course to 90 degrees, and that'll give me a rough idea of where I should be pointing, and it'll give me a localizer cue. So it's saying that I should be hanging out to the right. Actually, wait, the ship is pointed east, but the deck is 10 degrees offset, so I'm going to dial this into 80. And that'll let us, and that way the TACCAN will help us get kind of lined up. Okay, we're not going very fast at all now. I'm going to put the throttle up to about 90%. Maybe 85. We don't need a whole lot of speed here. And 10 minutes to go. All right. Time to lose some altitude. An important thing about the Tomcat is that at high angles of attack, like over 10 units, there's your AOA bar, so anything over 10, you need to coordinate your turns. Under 10 units, you can just use the stick, just like you would with any other aircraft, but over 10 units, you need to make sure that you're applying right rudder when you want to roll right, and left rudder when you want to roll left. Failure to do this can put you into a flat spin, Top Gun style, and you don't want to be goose. What do we got here? 13 miles. I think that's close enough for the localizer ICLS thing. It is not. Back to TACAN. I'm gonna put the hook down, and we're doing over 400 knots, a little over 400 knots. And your speed brake only works at maximum efficiency when you're under 400 knots. So, go. Okay. I've actually got a visual on the boat, so I'm going to switch this to IWL. Am I on the wrong channel? Nothing? Nothing? This is kind of not good, to be perfectly honest. Oh, put it in landing mode. Ha! There we go. There we go. Once you put it in landing mode, you're fine. So I'm way too far to the right and I'm way too high. So it's speed brake out. Yeah, I'm way too far to the left. I gotta come right, and I gotta lose altitude. And once we get under 250 knots indicated, we're gonna drop flaps and gear. Okay, now actually I'm below the glide slope. I'm going to advance my throttle a little bit, then hit the auto throttle button. It's not working because my gear and flaps are not out. So flaps down, gear down. It's going to be a tricky landing. Okay, now I'm too far to the right and I'm too low. Just got to come left a little bit. Always be trimming. Always be trimming. Advance the throttle a little bit and turn on auto throttle so you don't have to think about your throttle. Flip that switch down, turn on autopilot, and hit AP Ref. And when I enabled the autopilot, there was an AP Ref button at the bottom. You also need all ACL ready, AP, CPLK, and CMD control. You need all of those to light up. And then you can hit AP Ref, and as long as you got auto throttle on, the jet will land itself. I'm not controlling it. I'm completely exterior. Now, I also need to drop the DLC controllers, which I should have done as soon as I dropped my gear and flaps all the way. That basically helps to kill your lift, and it also gives you much finer control. The jet tends to drift a little bit at really low speeds and low AOA. It's a little bit hard to control because there's a lag on your inputs. The DLC spoilers give you very fine pitch control. You can go up and down very slightly without causing the jet to go all over the place. I'm going to do an exterior view for this because I trust it so very much.
I lost lock.
And that's a 3-wire. You lost the lock. Jesus. What a stupid thing to say, Jester. Jester's a little fucked up on this patch.
4-wire.
Was it? I thought it was a 3-wire. Well, whatever. So we're going to put the flaps up. We're going to put the sweep lever all the way back. We're going to enable nose wheel steering. We're going to pull in the speed brakes. You are supposed to have the speed brakes out while you're landing, so that was not an error. And then we'll put it into takeoff mode instead of landing mode. We'll put this back to destination. We will... I'm cutting this close. I got 5 minutes left, but that is still enough time. So, taxiing over to the old parking space here. We see that the over light has come on here. Over. And so that means we can pull the lever even further back to put the wings into oversweep mode. The jet is now 10.1 meters wide, in stark contrast to its fully unswept length of 20 meters. So it's half the width that it could be if the wings weren't swept. And then I'm actually going to point my jet towards the deck. I'm going to apply some right wheel brake as we do this, as well as the nose wheel steering, to really help tighten the turn. And once we're pointed straight, I'm going to release the nose wheel steering, apply both wheel brakes, and that is not a half bad parking job. We're going to apply the parking brake, we're going to turn off nose wheel steering, we're going to turn off the external lights, flip the master arm protector there, and we're going to just quickly shut the jet down. Everything off. For the sake of the next guy, we're going to put, oh, the trim already is at 2 degrees, okay, that's fine. Radio's off. Oxygen off. Stability channel, I'm just going to flip this one off, and there's a dedicated switch, adjust controls, this thing, autopilot emergency disconnect paddle, and that one will flip off the other two. If you're in a dogfight, you actually want to hit that paddle button and disable those other 2 channels. Because it'll let you abuse the jet a little bit more, and sometimes you need that if you're going to make a snapshot. And without further ado, I think we will kill the engines and raise the canopy. Now, the jet has like 20 or 30 seconds of battery power when the engines are off, but pretty soon every light in the jet is going to go out, and this is going to be done. We put the wings into oversweep so that the wings are actually over top of the stabilizers there. Obviously you can't do that in flight, but the reason we put the lever most of the way back and then stopped was because we couldn't move it any further than that. Once you move it all the way back on the lever, then it deflates the air bladders that are inside the glove mount for the wings. And then once those bladders are deflated, then you get the over light up there, and that means you can move the lever fully back in order to engage oversweep. And as we, oh, I never turned off the radar altimeter. Okay, so that's off, and I think we're about to lose power. If I were landing on a runway instead of a carrier, I would have flipped this switch up. That's the anti-skid switch, and it also helps with some air braking. It's very helpful when you're landing on an airfield, but yeah, the batteries just ran out. So if you ever take serious engine damage while you're flying the jet, you have about that long to continue controlling it, and after that it goes completely dead. This has been a very quick video on the Tomcat, and I'll definitely do some more later. But for now, cheers and thanks for watching. Take care.